All right, looks like we are live. I'll go ahead and do a mic check really quick, and then we should be all set. But yeah, there's a handful of things that I want to cover tonight. I want to cover the FIGMA IPO. I want to go over their S1. I also want to go over some of the Elon Trump drama, and I also want to go over some reactions that I saved today. Might be kind of fun. So yeah, kind of just wanted to dive into all of that and see where things go from here. But this is just things that I want to cover, things that I find interesting that are in the economy or at different stocks. So other than that, yeah, we are good to go. Let me see. Whoops. Let me double check some stuff while I get set up here. Whoops. Okay, let's get out of that. This is a mess. Okay, let's see if I can get this set up correctly. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, no. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can get a good sound check here and see that we're rolling, and then we'll get going. Okay, sound is good. Audio is good. Got a little bit. There we go. Fix that a little bit. Perfect. All right. Sweet. Welcome back. Okay. I want to go ahead and dive into the FIGMA IPO. I think it's ticker symbol FIG. FIGMA. FIGMA, is it? Okay, there we go. FIGMA Inc. So they filed to IPO today, and we have the blessing of having an S1. So we're going to read their initial financials. I want to see how strong this company is. Are they a money-losing company? I have no idea. Haven't read anything yet. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we will dive into what's going on with FIGMA. So obviously just I went over to sec.gov here, and we're going to go ahead and dive into FIGMA's S1, kind of talk about what I see on their balance sheet, their statement of cash flows, things like that. All the fun stuff. Only the stuff that only finance nerds like. So let me go ahead and see if I can get this open. I would like to get this open in a PDF, but we might have to be okay with just this. Let me see. Okay, so here's the Form S1. All right. So they're going to have their pitch deck in here. Figma, for those of you guys who don't know, is like when you make a website, you have like, you take things from a whiteboard. So it's the intermediary between whiteboard designs and like app development and website creation. So it's the in between. Okay. So it's what you give your front end designers to be able to make the whiteboard vision come to life. So it's a step past whiteboard, but it's not code yet. So it kind of helps with the CSS drama. When I was first developing, I had to learn a lot about CSS. And that was kind of a nightmare. CSS is like move a pixel this way, move a pixel that way, and it gets kind of messy. So Figma is that intermediary between those. So I don't really want to pay attention to their numbers here too much. I want to take a look at their audited financials, if that is what these. I don't know if these are unaudited or audited, but we have to. The Form S1s are still kind of like their sales pitch deck stuff. They're trying to sell you on what the business does, things like that. Their business model. I'm really just interested in their financials. Give me a second. I know this might make you dizzy for a second, but I want to go ahead and pull this up. Okay. Let's actually go to the table of contents really quick. Foundation letter. Where are their financials? Prospectus summary, dividend policy, capitalization, dilution management. Do they have their financials on here? I'm pretty sure they do. Okay, we're just gonna kind of figure this out on our own together. And if you guys like this nerdy stuff, then good. Okay. Okay, I think we're in the right spot. Let me go back up here a little bit and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, we saw this. Okay, sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. So I don't know, other than like what this company does, I don't know anything about their financials. So this company, their financials are going to go from left to right. Sometimes you have 2025 where this is. And so you can kind of see their growth here. So I believe it doesn't say these are audited, but it doesn't say they're unaudited. So let's assume these are audited, but Obviously, I don't hang your hat on this for making an investigation. This is just me learning about what this company's financials look like. Okay, so the revenue. So this is in thousands. Let me double check. I want to open their actual. So there's their. So there's their. Those are their Reg Ds. That's funny. Okay, I believe it would be. Yeah. So 504 million, 709 million. Sorry, let me rephrase that. 504 million. Then they grew revenue in 2024 to 749 million, and these are their Q1 numbers. So these are their end of year numbers. So last year they did in 2024 they did 749 million. And if you guys in the chat see something or have some comments, go ahead and throw them up. I'd love to take a look. Yeah, true. It is for any type of design. So you can kind of, yeah, you're right. It is for any type of design. I know it more as kind of for app and web development, but yeah, you're right. It is for any type of design. Okay. So in 2024, their first quarter, they did 156 million. Year over year, they're at 228 million. Okay. I don't have my calculator on me. I gotta get a calculator for this desk. So that's what we're looking at for their cost of revenue. Their cost of revenue is fine. I wish let me get my iPad really quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, I got the. Okay, this will help us with calculations because my phone, of course, my iPad is dead. Great. So I'm going to charge my iPad. Okay. Hey, we'll bounce back, right? We're still getting in the hang of this together, right? I think that's already plugged in. Yeah, that's plugged in. Okay. Let me throw my iPad on the charger and we'll keep cruising. Okay. So iPad will charge and then we'll go. So their gross profit, 208 million. Okay, now let's look at how this business is being run. Their OpEx. Their R&D went up this quarter compared to last year. So did their sales and marketing. Fine. G&A, I'm surprised it didn't go up as much. They're still spending $315 million on G&A. So their total OpEx is 1.5 billion. So at initial glance, they're not making anything right now. At initial glance, they're losing quite a bit. So their losses, their G&A. So a lot of times pre-IPO, you'll see a lot of companies really kind of go heavy on G&A. That's not what you see pre-IPO sometimes, not always, but sometimes you'll see the staff kind of get ready for an IPO, which, hey, they did a lot. It's not nothing getting a company to where FIGMA is at. So they lost 877 million. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, so they're a money losing company. So we're not going to have we're not going to have any EPS or anything like that yet, but let's keep going. Okay, so net income loss. I want to see what the margins are. This is I would consider this a SaaS company because you do have to sign up for a membership. Let me go ahead and log into the iPad here. Okay, logged into the iPad, so now we can do math. Okay, cool. Calculator. Did they put an calculator on the iPad yet? No, I still have to use the app. Okay, this app is so janky. Yeah, I hate this app. Okay, so I want to see what their margins are. So we're gonna take I want to look at the year-over-year difference in revenue growth. So we're gonna take the new number 208,747 divided by 143,439. Nope, that is not right. Nope, I did that backwards. 143,439 divided by 208,747. 100 minus 68. That's a 32% growth year over year in gross profit. Okay, good. So they grew 32%. Not bad. Let me just double check my math and make sure I divided that correctly. Times 1.32. And I already used all the juice on the iPad. Okay, iPad is dead. So we're not going to calculate gross margin. So we saw some growth in gross profit. Okay, let's keep moving on. Okay, cost of revenue, we talked about that. Let's see. We saw there. I want to see what the biggest difference was G&A. And between the years, you also saw more than a double in sales and marketing, and you saw like a five, like yeah, their costs exploded. Their costs did not scale proportionately, in my opinion. I don't have my calculator dead, so I can't factually check that, but their costs did not scale in proportion to their revenue. So that is not good, in my opinion. Well, I mean, they're going to say it's for growth, which that's what you would be investing in this company. I don't know what they're going to trade for yet. But in my opinion, you might be seeing this as a growth opportunity. I mean, it doesn't look like they're a money losing company. I don't think this is going to be a dividend opportunity, but that's okay. Let's keep going through and let's see what we can find. So this is so here's their balance. We'll get to their balance sheet in just a second. Okay. So it looks like as of March 31st, 2025, so the end of Q1, they had 1.5 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Their capital, what was that called? Their working capital. What do they have that listed as? 1, 2, 3. Their working capital is defined as current assets less liabilities. Refer to the consolidation financial statements included elsewhere in this perspective for additional information regarding current assets and current liabilities. Okay. So 1.5 billion in cash. Their total assets. So this is already, if I understand correctly, this is capital. It's already been assigned something. So it's like, okay, I know I'm going to be building this product and I am allocating this much money to it. That's separate from the cash that they have in the bank. So they have 1.5 in the bank. They have 1.2 dedicated to other projects. Their total assets are 1.9. Deferred revenue is 406. Let's take a look at their debt. Total liabilities, they have enough cash to pay for their liabilities. Convertible preferred stock, they should have more than enough for that. Additional paid in capital, total shareholder equity. Okay, good. So it looks like it doesn't look like they have it's not solvency, solvency versus liquidity. I always get these mixed up. Solvency. Liquidity. From my initial take, it does not look like they have a huge liquidity issue. Again, that's just my opinion at first glance. Okay, let's see what else they have here. Okay, the risk factors. This is just a bunch of disclosures. I just want to see if they have anything else. Okay. If not, I don't see paid customers with more than 10,000 in annual recurring revenue. Okay. Okay. I don't care too much. Okay. So the revenue was up 46%. And their cost of revenue was up 52%. So they spent, yeah, okay. And then their gross profit went up 46%. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So that's, okay, so you can kind of go back to 2023. Let's see, March, June. So you can really see how this company has grown from 2023 to 2025. And I wonder if you can extrapolate this growth. If you charted this out, how well you could extrapolate it. So I want to see this. This is interesting. Their G&A, 2024. Okay. Their G&A has remained in 2023 in Q4. This is when they do like your bonuses and stuff like that. So the G&A kind of exploded. I could be wrong. It's an assumption. Yeah, I didn't do it in 2024. Okay, fair enough. So that's false. Okay. I want to keep an eye on this company. we're at the top of a market, so it's very interesting that they decided to IPO. I mean, if you're going to IPO a tech company at the top of frothy valuations, maybe not the worst idea. It's going to be an interesting case study to see how well they do IPOing at the top of the market. When is Figma Figma going public? Let's see if they have a date. So they filed the paperwork. Okay, so I forgot about that. I forgot Adobe was going to acquire Figma. Adobe acquisition Figma. They were going to buy Figma for 20 billion. Wow. Okay, so Adobe was going to buy Figma for 20 billion. I'm very curious to see if Figma is going to trade for that. Do they have a share per share? I don't know if they have their. Usually IPOs are start at around $20. I could be wrong. Maybe that's just SPACs, but it's usually Figma IPO price. I don't think they'll have that yet. This happened just like 8 hours ago. So this is relatively new. There's gonna be a lot more information that comes out. Okay, let's see what everybody else is. I'll share this tab. Let's go ahead and see what CNBC is saying for this. Okay, yeah, we talked about that. They're gonna go under ticker FIG. That led to Adobe paid Figma $1 billion termination fee. That's crazy. So that $1 billion they have in the bank, it's an assumption. I mean, I don't know where that billion went, but it'd be funny if that billion just went straight to the bank. It'd be smart. Revenue in the first quarter increased. The company recorded a net income of 44.9. Did we see that? Okay, let's see this. Hold on. Revenue in the first quarter increased 46%, 228 million from 156 billion. That same period ago, according to Figma's prospectus. The company recorded a net income of 44 million compared to 13.5 million a year earlier. Hold on a second. Okay, let's go back to, I want to see what I'm missing here because I did not see that. Let's go back. Okay, let's see. Let's see. What do we have going on here? Okay. Net income. Where are they getting that net income number? Okay, so they lost. Let's see. Okay. Operating expenses. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if that matches up. 13 put to 44. Yeah. Okay. I was wrong. So let me retract that statement. I was looking at, again, I sometimes their filings are flipped. I had it flipped the opposite way. A lot of times you'll have 2025 here on the left, like the most recent, but the most recent is over here. So Q1, they ended up with a net income. 2024, they had over the whole year, they ended with a net loss. Why did they take such a big loss? Because they were, sorry, I read this wrong. They took $373 million of net income. But why did they take such a big loss? I want to keep reading this article to see if it can help me understand. But it does look like they are a cash flow positive company, if I understand correctly. So they do have a net income per share of 4 cents. Okay. I want to keep reading this article, see if there's anything else that I'm missing. Again, this is just kind of me at first glance learning about this company. 450,000 customers, 1,000 were contributing 100,000 a year. So when I read this, if I'm an investor, it's like, okay, they have more of a diversified business. It's a lot of Palantir's risks early on where, okay, they don't have any, like they have very few big contracts. And a lot of them were government, not private. So like that was a risk for Palantir. I don't know how big, I haven't studied it, but I don't know how big of a risk that is now for Palantir. But this is, in my opinion, a good sign that they have a wide diversity of paying clients. Clients include Duolingo, Netflix, Pentagram, Stripe, a few others. Okay. Figma didn't say how many shares it plans to sell. This is a big deal. I wonder if it's going to be like a 10, like a Webull where it's like 10% listed or something like that. The company was valued at around $12 billion in a tender offer last year, and in April announced that it confidentially filed for an IPO with the SEC. Okay, so they were 20 billion and they had a tender offer for 12. This is interesting. Wall Street banks predicted the rush of an IPO after Donald Trump won the U.S. presidency election following the dry spell back late 2021 when soaring inflation, doubled its value. So yeah, it says they filed in April. So it was watching Circle IPO. These people are probably really excited. Online banking company Chime also debuted in June, following Hinge Health's IPO in May. CoreWeave. So yeah, if you're Figma, you're probably pretty excited over the last few IPOs. Buy now, pay later. Klarna, based in the UK, filed for IPO in March and did Ticket Marketplace StubHub. So I'm very curious to see what Klarna does. Figma was founded in 2012. He was 33, so now he would be 45. If my math is correct. 1,600 employees. Okay. Field is the biggest individual owner of Figma with 56.6 million Class B shares and 51.1% voting power ahead of the IPO. He said in a letter to investors that it was time for Figma to buck the trend of amazing companies staying privately indefinitely. Databricks, SpaceX, and Stripe are among high-valued companies that are still private. Some of the obvious benefits, such as good corporate hygiene, brand awareness, liquidity, stronger currency, and access to capital markets, apply. More importantly, I like the idea of community sharing in the ownership of Figma, and the best way to accomplish this through the public markets IPO. And I think Homie wants some liquidity for his 56 million shares. That's all right. Hey, don't hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Figma says it faced intense competition that lost market share would adversely affect our business, but didn't name any specific competitors. Figma biggest competitor. Who's Figma's biggest? You have like Adobe. I don't know any of these names. Sketch, Adobe, InVision, Framer. Oh, Framer's okay. I've used Framer. Okay. Over 13 million people use Figma per month, and only 1/3 of them are designers. Around 85% of monthly users were outside of the United States as of March 31st, but 53% of revenue came from outside the country. Okay, so now they're kind of in March, the company announced Figma Sites, a tool that turns designs into working websites. Okay, so now they're kind of going after Squarespace. They're going after Framer. I wonder how big Framer is compared to the Figma. Figma has 1.54 billion in cash. Yes, we saw that. Expect us to take big swings, including through acquisitions. Okay, in April, Figma bought the assets and team of an unspecified technology company for 14 million and acquired an unnamed company with content management system software for 35.5 million, according to the filing. In April, design software startup Modify said it would join Figma. In June, Figma revealed that a blog post that it acquired Payload. So yeah, they are acquiring a ton of companies. I'm really curious. So yeah, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs leading the deal along with Allen & Co. and JP Morgan Chase. Wow. So this will be a big IPO. This will be a big deal. I'm curious to see if they're going to go towards that 20 billion mark that Adobe was trying to buy them for back. I think it was 2021. Figma has also begun investing in digital currencies. $55 million investment into a Bitwise Bitcoin exchange traded fund. As of March 31st, the holding was worth $69.5 million, according to the filing. In May, the board approved for a $30 million investment into Bitcoin, and Figma sent the money on USD coin, which is a stable coin. Spent the money on a coin, which is USD stable coin. Okay, very interesting. Do you guys let's watch this Adobe. I want to watch this. Let's see if I can, let's see if we can get audio really quick.
Comcast Business helps turn businesses into seamlessly restocking.
Let's see if I can turn it down because it's really annoying. I want to do an audio test to see if you guys can hear. Can you guys hear this? If you guys can let me know if you could hear it, that'd be great. Can you hear the little video?
which models are powering your AI features?
Yeah, so we're using OpenAI.
Hopefully you can.
For our LMs, and we're also using a diffusion model hosted by Amazon Titan.
Why those two?
They were the ones that were working well for our use cases. But I mean, the reality is you build all this in a modular way where you can swap out models because the only constant right now is change, and things are rapidly improving and changing.
Are they becoming commoditized? I mean, can you kind of interchange one for another? Do you expect to bring on more?
Yeah, I think it does take work to change out things for other models. I think that we're in a period of just rapid development for this field. I mean, anyone can see that as not only models are getting faster, but prices are decreasing. And I think that, I suspect that we'll start to see some of these model companies specializing more over time. But right now, it definitely feels like a race to me. And so it's been a very interesting time to be an observer and a customer in the space.
Let's talk about pricing, because there's still sort of this unclear path to monetization for generative AI tools and products. FIGMA AI is going to be in beta mode at first, and you're making that free. What is that going to cost you, and how are you thinking about pricing for an eventual broader rollout?
Yeah, so the way I addressed this today on the stage was I just tried to be as honest as I possibly could with our customers, which is to say that, hey, we're going to eat the cost for 2024 because we don't know how people are going to use these features yet. We don't know what usage looks like. We don't know how many of you will care. We don't know how good they get.
Then?
Well, you can watch how the usage is in the beta. You can see what the costs are, and you can go from there in terms of figuring out what pricing should be. And we just have to be very honest. That's where we're at. And we'll figure out the costs, and we'll clearly communicate those in 2025.
Right. Do you think that the subscription model works that we've seen from some of these other chatbots? Is that how you're thinking about it, as a subscription or per usage basis?
I think we'll definitely have to figure that out over time.
He has no idea.
We've seen both models work in the space. But I think that the chatbot approach is very different from a product approach.
Right.
And for us, what we care about is making sure that we're not just sprinkling, AI fairy dust on top, but rather really bake in AI functionality deep into the product in order to make a designer's life better. And so that's what you're seeing us do across our product with AI.
There's been some news in the Gen AI world this week regarding Stability AI. This was once a darling that is now trying to revive itself with new funding, a new CEO, involvement from Sean Parker, a figure well known in tech circles. What makes a successful AI company in design? As a CEO of FIGMA that has this wide distribution reach, what are you looking for?
I think, so a successful AI company in general right now, I think it's hard to know. Just as I think my honest reflection, especially for the foundational tooling. It's a period where I think we'll look back at this period likely the same way we look back at the 2000 period. That's not to say that it's just a bubble and there's a crash, but I mean, there was Amazon, there was Google.
Yeah.
Who are the Amazons and the Googles that we're going to look back on from this era? There will be important companies built. I think that who those companies are, I mean, that's why we're seeing so many dollars flood into space.
Right. Just last question. It's been about 6 months since that deal fell through with Adobe. It was scuttled by regulators. What's your takeaway? And I wonder, would you be willing to go through with another, maybe the right deal if a different set of regulators were in place?
Well, I think that we're very fortunate because looking back at the entire period of the acquisition, we kept our foot on the gas. And that's why we're able to, 6 months afterwards, after it's broken off, have an event like this and announce a ton of stuff on stage at Config, not just our AI features, but tons of improvements to our core Figma design editor, and also a whole new slides product. And
yeah, they made $1 billion off that failure. $1 billion failure.
That acquisition process.
Right, and I know you've increased your headcount, and you even had $1 billion breakup fee. I wonder, is an IPO then the eventual goal? Has that changed?
I mean, look, there's two paths in tech when you take VC funding, as you know, right? So either it's M&A or IPO, and we tried one of those. So you can probably guess as to what the other one is that will be in our future.
Okay.
Yeah, so he knew. So this is about, if I can tell, like 6 months ago, because they said it was 6 months since the failed Adobe merger. There isn't anything too new. This is towards the more of the beginning of the AI craze. But hey, yeah, I mean, yeah, 6 months ago, I imagine. 6 months ago, it was like 18 months ago. It was around 18 months ago that they had that failed Adobe merger. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about when it came to Circle. I thought that was interesting. I wanted to share that with you guys. and just wanted to kind of learn for myself what's not Circle, what Figma was about. At first, I know I got some of the numbers mixed up, but I think I learned a lot and was able to kind of write those numbers. Again, it may not be perfect, but I want to try to get those numbers out in front. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going with some of the other stuff that I had planned that I want to talk to you guys about. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Okay, let's see. I wanted to listen to this. Okay, let's say I want to listen to this, and you guys can tell me what you think. Okay, here we go.
Bill Gates gave me a ride to the airport in his car. And not many people can say that they were chauffeured by Bill Gates. In fact, I may put that on my LinkedIn profile. And the radio was missing in the car. Big gaping hole in the dashboard. And I said, Bill, so what happened here? Did you get ripped off? And he said, no, I had it taken out. Why do you have it taken out? Well, I drive from my home to the office, which is 7 minutes and 32 seconds. And then I'll drive from the office to the airport, which is however long. And he said, if I've got the radio, I'm afraid that I'll switch it on and I won't be thinking about Microsoft. That's obsession. Bill Gates.
Wow, I've never heard that story about Bill Gates. Very interesting. You see some crazy high obsession from some of the more successful entrepreneurs. Okay, cool. I want to keep going. I wanted to react to this Caleb Hammer clip, and you guys, maybe we can see what you guys think. And no, I don't want to react to that clip. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg on the best advice Peter Thiel ever gave him. Peter Thiel, however you want to say it. Okay. Let's go here. Let's see.
Speaking of Peter, and sort of a closing question, what's the best piece of advice he ever gave you?
I think Peter was the person who told me this really pithy quote that in a world that's changing so quickly, the biggest risk you can take is not taking any risk. And I really think that that's true, right? I mean, a lot of people I think that, whenever it comes to, whenever you get yourself into a position where you have to make some big shift in direction or do something, there are always people are going to point to the downside risks of that decision. And locally, they're maybe right? I mean, for any given decision that you're going to make, there's upside and downside. But in aggregate, if you are stagnant and you don't make those changes, then I think you're guaranteed to fail, right? And not catch up. So to some degree, I think it's really right that over time, the biggest risk that you can take is to not take any risk.
Okay, that's really interesting. I would be curious to see when that interview was. If that was during the metaverse era, that'd be even more funny because he did take a big risk, and most people would say it did not pay off that risk. But I thought that was interesting. Okay, let's see. I want to see if there's anything else that is going on tonight. Let's see. Okay. I want to do more bigger reaction videos. Obviously, you had Elon saying that he's that he's telling Trump to cut it all. I'm not gonna make a whole video about that. If you guys have questions, you can let me know. I just wanted to see if there was any other kind of news that went on tonight. I wanted to talk about the Bryan Kohberger. I could give it a shot, but we'll see. Okay, let's see. That's funny. This meme. Let me show you guys this meme that. So right now, Meta is poaching a lot of OpenAI's employees. And obviously in this picture that I have up here, you have Mark Zuckerberg sitting across from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, here on the right. CEO of Meta on the left, and you can see here the thing that I think Facebook has done exceptionally well is hiring. When was that interview done? I'll be very curious. Let's see, Mark Zuckerberg, how to build the future. Mark Zuckerberg, how to build the future. It was done 8 years ago. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. It's funny that that interview is now resurfacing. So I just want to do another quick glance really quick here and see if there is anything worth covering. I might take a shot at you guys may have to kind of learn with you guys may have to bear with me. Kohberger. I find this very interesting and I like keeping up with it. I don't know why. I was just kind of born watching murder mystery trials. And so if you guys want me to cover this stuff, I'm going to cover it. Let me know what you guys think. So the New York Post, let me go ahead and switch this. Okay. I want to go over this article about the New York Post. Prosecutors offer Bryan Kohberger a plea deal despite a mountain of damning evidence. Here's what they had. Okay. So this was obviously posted today, just late this afternoon. So prosecutors had announced a lot of evidence and key legal victories against Bryan Kohberger in the weeks before they offered him a plea deal for the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students. Obviously, you remember this terrible tragedy. I'm trying to see if they have a picture of the kids. These 4 kids right here. Sorry, again, ads everywhere. Let me pull it up. These 4 kids right here were brutally murdered in Idaho, and Bryan Kohberger is alleged to be the murderer. And it looks like if this is indeed true, he is taking a plea deal regarding the murder. So Kohberger's defense pushed for delays. They tried to block most of the evidence against him and even suggested a list of alternate perpetrators who they claimed could have committed the killings. The judge denied most of their motions, allowing a tidal wave of evidence to be presented against the 30-year-old criminology PhD student at his trial, which was scheduled for next month. So Bryan Kohberger was going to go into trial next month, and all of this was going to be put on display. I don't know if it was going to be a public trial or a private trial, but a lot of it was going to be put on display for the world. And you had this PhD student in criminology, which is even more creepy. Somebody studying criminology try to pull off what they thought was going to be a crime that they could have gotten away with. I don't know. But there was other interesting things that I wanted to read about and hear with you guys. The families of victims of the 4 victims, they were slammed the decision to spare Kohberger a trial and the chance of death by firing squad. I don't know if the death penalty is completely ruled out here, but if he's taking a plea deal, more than likely you would think he took a plea deal to get out of the death penalty. Obviously, the parents, it sounds like at least some of the parents are pushing for the death penalty, which they have the right to feel how they feel. I'm not here to debate the death penalty with you guys, but that is, you had one of the mothers that said they supported the plea deal, while Madison's family has publicly not weighed in. So you had some families saying like, why would he take the plea deal? Like, why did we give him a plea deal? We wanted to see the death penalty. You had one person, from what I can tell, say that, okay, it's fine. Like, he can take the plea deal. He's obviously going to serve 4 life sentences, so he's never going to see freedom again, from what I can tell. And then you have one family that has not weighed in yet. So you have so this goes through the evidence. So here's some of the evidence that they had against Bryan. You had the man with bushy eyebrows. One of the 2 survivors of Moscow, Idaho, attacked, spotting a masked man with bushy eyebrows prowling around the house around 4 a.m. when the stabbings occurred. Obviously, it's terrible. If you look, you do see some bushy eyebrows. I don't have a great picture here, but you saw that one there. You had, let's see what other evidence they have. The description was bad news for Kohberger, whose own brows are replete with wool. His defense asked the judge to bar testimony and evidence related to bushy eyebrows, calling a witness's description irrelevant and unreliable. Hippler denied that motion, as well as a motion to block that, as well as a motion to block the survivor's initial 911 call, in which one mentioned seeing a strange man in the house. So you had the defense trying to just stop any piece of evidence that the prosecutor was trying to get in. Security camera footage showed a white Hyundai Elantra circling the area around around the victim's house in the early morning on the day of the murders and finally speeding away after 4 a.m. Police began looking for the local Hyundai Elantra drivers and landed on Kohberger, a PhD criminology student at a nearby Washington State University. So students say they saw a white Hyundai, they looked for a white Hyundai, and then now they found a man with bushy eyebrows. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but not looking too hot for Bryan. Okay, so you can kind of see some bushy eyebrows here. Kind of a creepy picture. Cell phone tower records. Cell phone tower records showed that Kohberger, or at least his phone, had been up and about during the morning of the stabbings. His phone disconnected from the network around 2:30 a.m. in Pullman, Washington, probably went on airplane mode, then reconnected around 4:30 a.m. near Blaine, a town outside of Moscow. So now he has to, I don't know if he has to overcome this, but there has to be an explanation. Why did your phone disconnect from the period of times that the killings were happening? Okay, so Mike says DoorDash driver being able to ID his vehicle and him that morning as she parked next to his vehicle to drop off the food. Okay, thank you for that, Mike. Very interesting. Okay, record also placed Kohberger near a house a dozen times in the days before the murder. So those cell phone records placed him near the house a dozen times. He was also nearby around 5 hours after the slaying, suggesting he cased the property and returned to the crime scene. With serial killers, it's common that they do want to return to the crime scene. So very interesting. A bloody DNA lace knife sheath. Perhaps the most damning of all, prosecutors found a physical evidence that put Kohberger inside the house. Investigators found a bloody sheath for a K-bar knife at the murder scene. His DNA was found on the button strap of the sheath. So, I mean, that's pretty much like, I'm not the judge, I'm not the jury, but as somebody on the outside looking in, if you give it to me at face value, I'd love to hear what the defendants would say to this. Kohberger's Amazon.com purchases showed that he bought a K-bar ahead of the attack. Okay. This is not looking good for this guy, for the defense. Okay. Detectives recovered trash from Kohberger's Pennsylvania family home and obtained genetic samples to match the DNA. Some of the samples were actually recovered from the house next door as officers watching the suspect observed him dropping off bags of trash in his neighbor's trash cans. Okay. For the defense, this does not look good. Okay. This attorney is probably like, what do we do? Because they can't get any of this evidence dismissed, and they need to be able to overcome all this stuff, because that's a lot of stuff to overcome. Suspicious gear. When authorities finally arrested Kohberger, they found a gun, a knife, and a black surgical mask in his parents' house. But most damning of all was an ID card authorities say was connected to the murders, hidden inside a latex glove. So he had an ID. The ID card led to speculation that Kohberger knew one of the victims ahead of time and kept their ID as a souvenir, or even planned to leave Joker-style calling cards at the scenes of other killings. Creepy, and that's just bad for the defense. So you have all of that evidence. I want to go ahead and cover a little bit more of the reactions regarding this. But you had so much evidence to overcome, and it's not a wonder. This guy could either choose to serve 4 lifetime sentences or the death penalty. And I'm sure that's not something that I'm pretty sure he didn't make that decision lightly, because I don't think he's going to have a very good life for the rest of his life, because this is a pretty brutal crime. I want to see, there were some other reactions. So this is an Idaho state. Let's see if this is a paywall. Okay, let's go ahead and read this. There are ads everywhere. I apologize, but let me go ahead and pull this up. Okay. So let me go ahead and share this with you guys. So the headline is that the Beyond Furious Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger accepts plea deal. So let's see who's Beyond Furious and what happened. So he's the suspect. A victim's family member told the Idaho Statesman that they received a letter from the prosecution and provided a copy of that letter to the Statesman confirming the agreement. The plea deal was first reported by News Nation Monday afternoon. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, we talked about this. The families of the victims met with prosecutors last week to discuss the possibility of a plea deal, which the prosecution in a letter said weighed heavily in the decision-making process. We cannot fathom the toll that this case has taken on your family, read the letter signed by Leta, County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, and Ashley Jennings, his senior deputy. Deputy, this resolution in our sincere attempt to seek justice for your family. This agreement ensures that the defendant will be convicted, will spend the rest of his life in prison, and will not be able to put you and the other families through uncertainty of decades of post-conviction appeals. So he's probably, again, I'm not an attorney, he's probably waiving all of his rights to appeal with this plea deal. The victims we talked about the victims. Obviously, it's terrible. I don't want to get into the crime. I just want to see. Obviously, the crime is terrible, and there's a lot you can go read about on that. I want to see more about this. Okay, the plea deal. The defense requested an offer from the prosecution. Will take the death penalty off the table in exchange for Kohberger pleading guilty to all charges. The 4 first-degree murder counts and an additional charge of felony burglary. He's expected to appear at the Ada County Courthouse on Wednesday at 11 a.m. So tomorrow at 11 a.m. for a change of plea hearing, according to the letter sent to the families. A notice just filed just before 3 p.m. Monday, publicized on the court's website Tuesday, confirming the hearing is scheduled. So tomorrow morning, we will know if Bryan Kohberger is going to accept the plea deal, which the plea deal is taking the death penalty off the table. This plea deal, from what I can tell from this article, is taking the plea deal off the table in exchange for pleading guilty to all charges, all 4 first-degree murder charges, and the additional charge of felony burglary. So he'll appear tomorrow at 11 a.m. Subscribe, because I'll try to cover that for you guys, not at the time, but later in the day. I'll try to make a quick video talking about the plea deal. I think it's interesting. If Kohberger pleads guilty as expected, he'll likely be sentenced in late July, with the agreed-upon sentence being life in prison, according to the letter. If he doesn't, the trial would proceed as planned, and the evidence would come out. It'd be a long trial. He would appeal. It would be a long time until the death penalty is received, if that's what the court decided. As part of the plea deal, Kohberger will also have to waive his right to an appeal. Yep, we talked about that. He will never be eligible for parole. Okay, understandable. The trial court administrator and spokesperson for the Idaho court system declined to comment, of course. The Gonclave's family, beyond fears. The Gonclave's family members have been staunch advocates for the death penalty to be applied in the Kohberger case, while other families haven't been so outspoken. There's no equivalent aside from the death penalty for someone convicted of murder. I'm going to call him Steve G. Wrote in a text message to the states in days before the deal was reached. The more victims someone is accused of killing, he added, the further it should tip the scales to death as the only option. So obviously he's super heavy on the death penalty. We're beyond furious at the state of Idaho. They have failed us. Mr. G's family posted on the Facebook page Monday afternoon. Hours later, they reiterated their frustration with the prosecution. They said they have done everything they could to push for the death penalty for Kohberger, having fought harder than anybody could ever imagine. For Ben Mogan, Madison's father, the plea deal wasn't as upsetting. He told the statesman if avoiding a trial meant his family can avoid reopening wounds that they've already worked towards healing, then he accepts the agreement. The plea deal the prosecution has proposed is one that punishes the perpetrator of this horrendous crime, protects the public from further harm. Mogan's family wrote in a statement to the statesman, and allows all of us who knew and loved these 4 young people the time to grieve without the anxiety of the long and gruesome trial, years of appeals, and potential for mistrials along the way. Mogan's family also thanked the prosecution for the dedication and painstaking work. May we all protect our peace in whatever way possible, unite in community, and focus on joy. The statement said, please do an act of kindness this week, so a glimmer of Maddie's light may live on. Obviously, one of the victims. Stacy Chapman, the mother of Ethan Chapman, told KTVB that she'll be at the plea hearing. The plea deal late in the process came as a surprise to even veterans in the legal field. Edwina is the criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor in Boise. She said writing was on the wall for Kohberger in terms of death penalty if the jury found him guilty of the killings, and might have proved too big of a risk and resulted in the change. This is interesting. That may have led to some additional conversation between the defense team and Kohberger. L. Cox told the statesman by phone over concerns that he could expect no other sentence with a conviction. These are the dice I did not want to roll with the client, she said. Maybe you get an anti-death penalty juror, but you may not. given the series of rulings against Kohberger's attorneys, which included several involving the effort to take the death penalty off the table, removing the possibility of such a sentence is ultimately a victory for the defense. So the defense is saying that this is a victory by not having the death penalty. Obviously, that's for the victim to decide, and the victims' families. Hopefully, they can come to peace with whatever the trial comes to. Obviously, a terrible crime and not a crime that you ever want to see repeated. Absolutely terrible. Hopefully, justice is served and those families can begin to heal those wounds. Obviously, you can never replace a loved one, but it's absolutely terrible. Consider subscribing if you want to hear the plea deal. I'll try to see if I can find a video of the court hearing to see if we can react to that. But it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow with the court hearing. But nonetheless, consider subscribing, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like always, see you next time. All right, so cool. So I'm still here. Let's do another quick glance and just see if there's anything else that we that's breaking late tonight. I'll check Twitter one more time, and then I'll probably sign off here in a minute. Yeah, obviously we talked about Trump and Elon. That's kind of just like the big. You have two of the biggest names in like media, Trump and Elon, which is pretty crazy. You have the ceasefire in Gaza. We covered that. Okay, let's check Twitter one more time, and then hopefully you guys enjoyed. Do you guys kind of enjoy like the current trials that are going on? I think it's kind of interesting. I'm trying to see if there's anything else worth covering here. If not, then probably sign off here in just a second, unless you guys have something that there should be Elon's saying there should be a solar gigafactory in America. Let me just go ahead and just see if he's tweeted anything interesting tonight. He's usually the most entertaining. So Elon's hinting at maybe X could offer a cloud platform using data center building IP from X AI plus energy from Tesla. It's bound to happen, some kind of merger. Tesla released its impact report. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything else. Okay, so Elon is giving. This is interesting. Elon has about faced again. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys. Okay. Okay, it does look like. Okay, it looks like Elon Musk has about faced again. Not on the big beautiful bill, but Elon Musk is no longer attacking Trump. Take a look at this latest tweet. So what you have here is credit where credit. Elon saying credit where credit is due. Real Donald Trump has successfully resolved several serious conflicts around the world. So this is referencing Donald Trump's 60-day ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. And Elon's giving Trump props because Trump is trying to negotiate as many peace deals as he can, ceasefire deals. And Elon acknowledges where credit is due, but he's been attacking the big beautiful bill all day long. You had Trump attack Elon today in a pretty personal way, saying Elon Musk knew long before he so strongly endorsed me for president that I was strongly against the EV mandate. What Trump has wrong here is Elon doesn't care about the EV mandate. Sure, does it sting a little bit, but Elon just wants the playing field to be fair, as far as I can tell. It is ridiculous and is always a major part of my campaign. Electric cars are fine, but not everyone should be forced to own one. Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far, and without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. No more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production in our country would save a fortune. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this big money to be saved. And so Elon finally responded to this and said, just plain wrong, so disappointing. You also had Elon say that he was going to restrain from commenting. I want to go ahead and find that tweet for you guys. Let me see. Elon said he was going to restrain from commenting, even though it was going to be really hard. Again, you haven't really seen Elon attack Trump personally. He actually gave Trump personal props, which will make Elon happy. But let's see. Let's see here. I'm gonna keep. Okay, let's see. So you have him just kind of like doubling down on Sean Ryan saying that his kids' piggy banks are already filled to the brim, filled with for bankruptcy, and they aren't even born yet. You have Elon doing more polls, and I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see if there's any. I wanted to see. He had a good reaction that I thought. Oh, so take a listen to this clip from Trump. Hopefully, you guys can hear this.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out. The rest, we got a lot of.
Okay, so you had Trump say that he's gonna have to sick Doge on Elon, and Elon said, "So tempting to escalate this, so tempting, but I will refrain for now." And you actually had Elon get a lot of applause from Tesla investors saying like, "Hey, you're attacking the bill, not Trump," which is good. Trump turned around, took it personal to Elon, so it was kind of a mess. But nonetheless, Elon giving Trump props is Elon's trying to do the right thing that most people want, which most people want peace, and he's trying to reduce the deficit. But Trump's he's generating ceasefire deals, but he's also increasing spending, which Trump's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Elon's saying that can't really be a possibility. But time can tell. Stock market's at near all-time highs, not quite all-time highs, but near all-time highs. So we'll see if Donald Trump can keep that stock market going. I've been really impressed with how the way that Trump kept the stock market going amid the tariff drama. We even had some tariff drama recently within the past 48 hours about Japan and that he's not going to move the tariff deadline. Again, these are all negotiation tactics by Trump. But I have been impressed to see the market continue to go to all-time highs despite all of the volatility. So I thought this was a really good, it could have gone really south for Tesla. Let me double check Tesla's stock price, but Tesla didn't end down as far as it could have today, in my opinion. Tesla ended down 5% today, which if you're a Tesla investor, it's like, what did Elon say today? Kind of deal. It's not anything like it was the first time that Elon and Trump got into that big spout when Tesla fell like 17%. That was crazy. So that's, again, these are rough numbers. I'm just kind of going while I'm live here, but that's the rough numbers. I'm happy to see that Elon is not tackling Trump personally, because I just don't think anybody wins in personal attacks. If he wants to debate like political matters, great. Personal attacks just it's not a good look for America, seeing two of the most powerful people in the world in America kind of go after each other. So that's kind of all I got for you guys tonight. If you guys enjoyed this live stream, consider leaving a like, consider subscribing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have something different you want to see. I covered the murder trial tonight, so we'll see that tomorrow. So if you want to see an update on that, on the plea deal, consider subscribing. But yeah, I really appreciated you guys being here. Mike, you're a legend. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And like always, see you next time. Thanks for watching.